This one's called The Best Christmas Gift of All. Buster was a small dog with a black patch over one eye. He lived with Mr. Merryweather, who had taken him in when he was a stray. Buster loved his owner and their snug home, and when Mr. Merryweather's grandchildren came to visit, they would all go for long walks in the park together. Jake, Becky, and Rose would run with Buster and give him lots of treats. One day, when Jake got out of Buster's leash as usual, Mr. Merryweather shook his head. "Sorry, children," he said. "I'm not feeling well. Take Buster out in the yard instead." After that, Mr. Merryweather took Buster only for short walks. But Buster didn't mind. He was happy enough, just living quietly at home with his friends. Then everything changed. One morning, Mr. Merryweather did not come downstairs for breakfast. Buster whined and scratched at the kitchen door, though he could hear Mr. Merryweather's faint voice from upstairs. The old man just did not come down. Later that morning, Mr. Merryweather's daughter Mary arrived. As she gave Buster his breakfast, a big white van with a red cross on it pulled up in front of the house. Buster saw Mr. Merryweather being carried downstairs on the stretcher. He reached over to pet Buster, but before the little dog could lick his hand, Mr. Merryweather was taken outside to the white van. "It will be okay, Buster," Mary said as she fastened his leash and walked him out to the car. But Buster pulled away. He was frightened and confused. Once, long ago, some people had put him in a car and driven him to a strange part of town where they had left him all alone. Mary picked up Buster and put him in the back seat. Buster looked sadly out the window at his home as they drove away. Where had Mr. Merryweather gone? At last the car swung into the driveway and Mary opened the door. "It's Buster!" the children shouted as they rushed out to the house. "Grandpa has had a heart attack," said Mary. "He'll be in the hospital for a while, so we're going to take care of Buster." The children looked sad, but they petted Buster and offered him a cookie. "Can we take him for a walk?" asked Rose, tugging at his leash. But Buster was still scared. The children were making so much noise that he wanted to go away from them and go back to Mr. Merryweather's. Buster wiggled and pulled until his collar came off. Then, before anyone could stop him, he ran down the driveway and into the street. Buster was going home. But this part of town was unfamiliar to him, and some of the shoppers rushing along the sidewalk bumped into the little dog. A few people even yelled at him as he ran by. Their angry voices reminded Buster of the time when he was a stray. No one shouted at him when he was with Mr. Merryweather. At long last, he came to the very park where Mr. Merryweather and the children had taken him for walks. He dashed through the playground and down to the pond, just in case Mr. Merryweather was there on his favorite bench. But he wasn't. The house looked cold and empty. Buster scratched at the door, but Mr. Merryweather didn't come. Buster ran around to the back and looked through the low windows. No lights were on, no food was on the table, and then he knew that Mr. Merryweather was not there at all. It was raining hard now. Buster thought of the children and their warm hugs and delicious treats. But though he had found his way home, he didn't remember how to get back to them. He was lost again. A car pulled up in front of the house. Buster ran into the bushes to hide. "Buster! Buster!" called three worried voices. "Are you there, Buster?" It was the children. Buster crawled out, his stumpy tail wagging for the first time that day. Jake picked him up and hugged him. Buster felt warm in his arms. "You're coming home with us, Buster," cried Rose. And all the way back to the car, she fed Buster treat after treat and stroked his wet fur. Buster never ran away again, though he still missed his old friend. Then, one special winter day, Buster had a surprise. The front door opened, and there he was. "I've missed you, Buster," Mr. Merryweather whispered, hugging the little dog tightly. "Grandpa's coming to live with us," said Becky. "Won't that be great?" Buster wagged his tail and licked Mr. Merryweather's face. That was the best Christmas present of all. The end.